going on, everybody? Just want to make a video. I ain't been on here in a couple weeks. I had a little injury a couple weeks ago. I cut my finger on my table saw and had to go get some stitches. I've been out of the shop for a little while. And it wasn't too bad. I only had 4 stitches. But, you know, through that process, being out of the shop and all that, it made me realize some things. Like the reason I cut my finger on a table saw is because I was doing things the way I've always done it. Right? I've cut out almost every knife handle I've ever made the same way I cut my finger. The way we've always done it is a phrase that will kill organizations, and it will also kill your spiritual growth. It also kills your ability to even become a Christian, because if you're not willing to give up the way that you've always done things, if you're not willing to change the way you've always done things, then it's impossible for you to change your life in a way that's going to glorify God. I was out of the shop for, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 days. And then last week I was at youth camp. So anyway, it's just been a series of events that has kept me from being, well, not kept me from, I just chose not to make a video about it until now. But the first thing I did when I came back to the shop is made one of these. This is a push stick. That's something I wasn't using, obviously, or I wouldn't have had my hand so close to the blade. But I needed to change the way that I did things. Even though I've been using a table saw like that my whole life, doesn't mean that it was right or that it's the thing that I should have been doing. So if you are doing things the way you've always done it, I would encourage you to reevaluate your situation. I would encourage you to reevaluate your organization. I would, especially if you're a leader, the way we've always done it stifles growth. Now, the first thing I did when I came back to the shop was made me a bunch of these things. They're laying all over now. My bandsaw has them. Little bitty ones for my bandsaw right here. Big ones for my table saw. Things to keep my hands away from the objects that are going to be dangerous. So we need to build things in our lives, in our walk with God, to keep us from the things that are going to keep us away from God. Keep us distanced from the things that are dangerous for us. It could be a former addiction. Like if you're struggling with alcohol, for an example, that's the easy one to pick on. If you're struggling with alcohol, don't go to a bar. Pretty genius idea. For me, I struggle with food. So I have to choose not to put myself in situations where I'm going to easily overeat. I hadn't really got that one figured out too well yet, but I'm praying about it. So the whole point is, if you're not willing to make changes, then you can't be upset when your life stays the same. If you're not willing to make changes in your growth as a Christian, you can't be upset when God doesn't do what you want him to, when he doesn't deliver on the things that you ask. There are tons of verses in the Bible that talk about how God will answer your prayers. God will do this. God will do this. God will do this. But they always are either prefaced or post. It's either before or after that verse that you have to be in the right standing with God. Your life has to be right with God in order for him to honor these things. So if you're not living right, if you're living like a heathen and then you go to God and wonder why he ain't answering your prayers, well, I encourage you to evaluate the moral situations in your life. Now, these are all things that I, myself, have done over the years and am still doing. So I encourage you to eliminate the phrase, well, that's how we've always done it. That's the way we've always done it. Because the way you've always done it can allow you to cut the end of your finger off. Now, that's a very healed up thing. But if you look at my fingers, like I legit cut the end of my finger off. And they tried to stitch it back together, but it fell off anyway. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope this helps. And I apologize for not being on here and just not being accountable like I said I was going to be. So I love you guys. I hope this helps. I said that already. We'll talk to you later.